bringing me in this amazing theater, library theater, and contacting me and having this time together. Every one of us have a history, and especially us, combining theater and social transformation. I'm sure that we have a particular story in how we end up doing this. And my story starts in when I was 15, and I didn't have a really nice teenager period. And one day, one of my teachers say, "Why you don't join the theater group that exists in my high school?" And I joined it. And for me, that I was a teenager with lack of hope, a lot of anger. Um, at the first time in my life, joining that theater group changed the perspective about myself. It was the first time that people were admiring me, it was like really strange. And and then I don't know how at that moment I knew that I wanted to combine theater as a way that theater helped me to go through that period. And then it was clear, but I didn't know how, because in we have to focus that it was like in 2000, and then especially in Spain, where I come from, theater and social transformation is not something that is so easy and so common in that period. And then I start joining different groups, and 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 then and then at some point, and I was like, I studied theater and social community and combining both, and it was really interesting my experience. But then at some point, and I'm sure that happened to you, I started having a question, and that question brought me where I am right now with you and why I create Theater of Yes. And that question was, okay, I was going and being as an audience and see theater community groups, and they create performance based in personal stories with the best intentions. But then me as an audience, I remember that when I was leaving that spaces, because the quality was not, it was not in the performance. Me as a spectator, I was thinking, okay, they tried their best, you know, they couldn't do better. And then I start reflecting on that, like, okay, what I love the most that is theater is reproducing what I hate the most, that is paternalist. Then how I can create a methodology that can combine both, can be, the transformation can be a powerful, but also when we create performance and we bring this performance in front of the audience can be as well, and have a really impact to break these stereotypes. And that at that point, I start more focusing on creating performance rather than, just doing process. And this is where I am here right now.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. I feel in many ways we have some kind of a meeting point of our stories, of our interests. I also feel like theater came to me not in an early age, but later on as a place that I can be seen, that I can
Mhm.
and that I can explore who I am, and I'm actually quite a shy person, or have been, or is still. And then theater as a place of exploring some and being seen, and I think this is fascinating to see who the people who get attracted to theater sometimes are not the ones that that are always out there, but actually the ones that are sort of having a hard time to do it, and then
Mhm.
the theater can be that place. um yeah, maybe I don't know if there's any research about who does theater and why, but and this question, I also at some point of my engagement with theater, very soon I heard about Theater of the Oppressed and Augusto Boal, and
Mhm.
was very fascinated, interested, but I also came to this sort of delusion at some point, a little bit,
Mhm.
because I could see a lot of forum plays were they were engaging, they were
Mhm.
political, but they were aesthetically poor.
Mm-hmm.
And I did ask myself, like, can you make a foreign play that is also aesthetically interesting? And I experimented. There were some things that I felt were difficult to bring together because, in a way, in order for the forum to be successful, it needs to be quite rational, and in order for theater to be interesting, it needs to be more abstract and
Metaphorical, yes.
metaphorical. So it's hard to combine the need
Yes.
in a way of the theater to be outside of the reality and the need of the
Mm.
form to be anchored in the reality. So I wonder if you also experience that, and how, like, in this your journey of theater, of yes, of see, what have you discovered? Where do you feel you found some anchors in order, like, do you feel that you achieved what you're set to achieve with that, and how?
Um, it's true that something that you say, it's real, and when I start my journey, I start using theater of the oppressed. This was my tool, and at some point I reflect on that, like you. And it's true that for me it was a little bit easier than you, in the sense that I created mythology from zero. Then I could create, I didn't have to follow the rules of foreign theater. I decided to create everything from zero, all the exercise and the language. And what one of the points, it was this question that you were saying, many questions came to me, like how I can create something that is beautiful and without people that are not professional actors. And it's true that I was lucky that I had a lot of physical theater training then. And along my training, um, I had a lot of tools to create from zero. I didn't have to be supported by a text. And then from that I start reflecting, okay, I want a group that create, but I at some point I thought, okay, I don't want a group that create from traumas, because it's always when people come to the group and they didn't have a voice outside the group. What they want to bring as the story is a traumatical story. And at some point I start thinking, okay, what I want to show in front of the audience, it's not them reproducing again the trauma. It's about really finding the possibilities. And then finding the possibilities at some point helped me to support me through this metaphorical language that you were saying me. But because possibilities can be imagination, possibilities can be, I would like to I would like to have more friends, that can support me. Then we create that moment through the group. And then this helped me to support, and especially because I didn't have to follow any rules. I could create from super egocentric. I could create from what I think that it was my way that they could feel comfortable in, as you can see in your practice, in many tensions that we feel, no, bringing personal stories but not too attached, that they can feel, safe, and feeling that working with bodies that they are not, many times they don't feel, as beauty as everyone else. They don't feel as, with a lot of movements. And then how we can incorporate all these different support, and creating aesthetic. Then many questions came to me in this tension process.
I'm wondering, in this process, so you're in this process of creating a language, a method, and so something is guiding you. How can it be more aesthetic somehow, and but then also with non-actors? Um, and I know that at some point you started a PhD.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Why did you choose that, and how does that affect this journey?
Okay. I got everything started because I got a scholarship in Cambridge in 2012, and I went to live there. And the master was about. I did a master in drama therapy, and I didn't like at all, because doing a master in drama therapy in UK, it was about therapy. And I felt like, no, I'm an artist. I don't want to be in a therapist and become a therapist in this, for me, really suffocated environment of therapy. Then when I end, I create acting now. And at the beginning, I didn't feel like, yes, I have a methodology. None at all. My purpose was about creating a performance beautiful, with a nice aesthetics, then the audience can break the stereotypes. And we realized that at the beginning, like all just the friends came to see the performance, and then more and more, 50 to 100, and we end up doing international, projects. And when we had the Q&A of at the end, and many people, raise the hand and say, oh, this is a different language. I didn't see this theater language before, because my obsession was like, okay, there's here, first, everyone have to be on the stage. I hate when people go, you know, and leave the stage and go back. This is the first thing that for me was obsessive. Then I start using chorus, because if everyone have to be on the stage for 50 minutes, and they are not the main role, what do we have to do with the rest? Then we start using chorus. Then 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 this was, like not feeling like, okay, I am better than I have more, on the stage, and you are less, you are not, you less time on the stage. Then this was the first aesthetic level, having a chorus all the time, and everyone were there, then the chorus become the central of showing the emotions. And then I could be the protagonist and having a difficult moment and showing it, but I didn't have to carry and hold that difficult emotion, not at all. It was the chorus, the one that showing it. Then there was there a process of starting a new aesthetics, that like the more important thing was, the most important thing was the chorus. Then at some point, when people saying, raising hands saying this is a different language, then I start doing like trainings. And then the training became at the universities. And then, students from the university asking me, but you don't have a book, something that I could, check. And then I started writing the book. And when the book was published, that it was published in Spanish, then I started going to all these published houses in UK that I like it with my book, with a translator from the book. And all these published houses said, okay, it's a really interesting book, but it's not a research book. And then I thought, oh my God, I create this methodology that now I'm teaching it, yes, and working abroad, and you are saying that it's not a research. And then I thought, okay, if I want that the theater of yes is a new subject at applied theater universities, then I have to do something. And then a friend of mine came and said, look, at my university, they have a scholarship and they have applied theater department, and is where I contact Kathy and I start a PhD. It was more about, not really thinking before. It came really fast, everything. It was more, again, a question of how, theater, yes, can reach another level, not just be, for practitioners and artists, also, be part of a university. Yeah, then, things in my life, I don't know if happened to you. The most important things in my life, I didn't have to do a lot of effort. And then, and I end up doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you just said about, the most thing in my life, that the great things are things that kind of came without no effort, and I think that's a great lesson. Because
Do you have an example in your
what?
life?
No,
Yes, do you have an
I all the
example?
time, all the time I try so many things. I try and try, and then I get things like, like I fail and then I just let go, and then the
Yeah,
thing comes.
yeah,
So I don't know if that's true for everyone,
yeah,
maybe it's true for some people, but it's definitely true for me, like a lot of time I feel like as if, you're pushing away the very thing that is seeking you, So um, I really like um, Hector, my mentor friend, saying, get out of your own way, so kind of the obstacles that is us. Um, so I think that's a great life lesson, and also the way you approached it, right? Like you're okay, so I do this, and okay, a book, so research, okay, research. So kind of letting the obstacle becoming the way, which I think is great.
It's true. I never thought about that, but it's true. It's like, okay, I'm writing a book. Okay, I never, no, it's not like a process of 2 years. Yeah, I have to write a book. No, you know. And I think maybe it happened to you as well because we are practitioners. We are doing things all the time, and then
Mm,
obstacles came, but because we are practitioners, we are doing things. Maybe we learn how to overcome obstacles because we work with stories, and everyone that I work in my life help me and touch me many things. I'm sure that then I can use maybe in an unconscious way.
mm,
For example, one day
mm,
I worked with a group of teenagers, migrants, and it was a story that a woman, like 15 years old teenager, that she left her country, Eritrea, and crossed all Africa, Europe, and living in UK. There is many lessons that I learned from her, like because she cannot come back to her place. If you're a teenager under 18 and you are from Eritrea, if you come back to your country, you go to jail. Then wow, this reflection about her, and she's an example of many other ones that I've been working, that I'm sure that you know that I learn, and then when things can come in our life, we move in a more trustive way. What do you think?
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah. I also I had some experience of working in project with the refugees, migrants here in Italy, and yeah, some of the stories are incredible. Also very some of them are very tragic, very like the
Mm,
extreme, really the extreme of
right.
human experience, and then the possibility to overcome, right? Like the overcoming of as well with when I was working with people with disabilities, and again, like the resiliency, the capacity to overcome
Yeah.
obstacles that one can develop. It's really inspiring, I wonder, and again, I'm in this journey of potentially doing a research on the methodology that I'm creating. Um, and right now, as I'm working on my PhD proposals, and I come across all this, like there's a lot of like questions about like how can you research something that you're creating, and what's the
Mm-hmm.
ethical questions of
Mm-hmm.
the participant's voice? Are they,
Mm-hmm.
how do, all of this, I guess it depends on how open is the university or the department to some methods, or but was that something that came easy, or how did you approach kind of being objective, or what's your, yeah, what was your process there?
Um, of course, at the beginning, I thought that how I was going to research the theater of yes. I thought that I don't know was going to research at different things, but happened like you. Like I was surprised that I could research my own methodology, and then I started discovering that in the applied theater there is a book that applied theater methods. Sorry, I'm really bad with names, and I did my Viva 2 weeks ago. I completely forgot. But it like there is applied theater methodology that says that the methods that we use have to be not objective, have to be subjective, because it's about you, and it's about like the theater of yes is the object and the subject at the same time, in this case. and help me to positioning myself as a researcher. But because I spent all my life being an artist and then a practitioner, both, and never like how I'm going to do that. And that will help me to position myself, like first, like it's okay that I'm putting my own opinion and my own reflections, and this is my process. And the second thing is Sally McKay says about multi voices, and we are working all the time, like using this listening, intentional listening about how I'm feeling, how this person is feeling, how the group feels, what the group thinks, how how is the reaction. Then you become a really not listen yourself, listen the others all the time. When you are doing the process, when you are writing, then when you are going again, when you are writing, then you are all the time, yeah, and then you are writing something, but is you discover that it's not just your voice, it's all the reflections, the participants that you are working, it's been used as creating your own method. And I think it's necessary because in applied theater research, like we are not a lot, and there is not a lot of books, and there is still, necessity that more and more and more academics are in our applied theater sector. Then it's true that these questions are necessary, and you are all the time fighting in an ethical way, especially like me, that I was in a university where the social, the social science was so strong that they didn't understand what was my research, because they thought, okay, if you are working with, with people with mental health, then you need a psychologist to support, to hold the process. Then I had to convince and go through a process telling them, no, I'm not, my analysis and my research is not seeing the change that these people had through my process. I am focusing on the aesthetic, and I'm focusing on the elements of the theater of yes aesthetics to support, the process.
Mm.
I have many books that I can share to you that it will help you to I hope to go through these questions and find some answers.
Mm. Yeah, I did manage to meet Kathy, and she suggested a book that I have called Applied Theater Research: Radical
Yes,
Departures.
yes,
So I've been
yes,
reading that, mostly the introduction, and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. So glad
yeah.
someone wrote that. Um, but and I'm in the process of coming up with the proposal and applying.
Mhm,
I came very close to two different PhDs and still on the journey.
mm,
And I'm also really interested in this idea of in my research question about how applied theater is research. Like how can
mhm,
we research things through applied theater, you know? So for example, I'm now the proposal that I'm currently working on is an uh, AI as a trickster.
mhm,
So the idea that AI, the generative AI, all of this is a sort of trickster figure
mhm,
that comes to disrupt education, but it's actually it's showing all the faults in the existing system of education that has been there much before the AI.
wow.
In so and how we can use theater to uncover to unfold that
Mhm,
trickster and reimagine education and mostly evaluation, right? Because I've been teaching in a university and I also came across, I think everyone in academy in higher education or even in high school is finding its way receiving text and thinking was that an AI or not, like how much
yeah,
of that is real and how do I evaluate learning? Do I evaluate outcome or do I evaluate
mhm,
process and how do I see the process? Because, right now in education, the evaluation, which and the way of exam is very abstract, conceptual,
mhm,
very individualistic, you know. You don't have collaborative work, you have just individual work, and it's disembodied. So you get the text, but you don't know who it belongs to almost, you know. Maybe you know,
Yeah.
but you don't know where it comes from and where it's going and what was the process of creating it, you know. And it's not just a question if it was created by AI or not, which is, I think it's now the question of the time that people ask, like, was it AI, and how much is
Mm-hmm.
learning happening when people use or not use AI? Do I judge the outcome, the output, or do I judge the authenticity?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I, you know, a lot of questions. But I think mostly is, yeah, what do we evaluate? And I'm putting an
Mm-hmm.
accent to value in the evaluate. It's because
Mm-hmm.
what do we give value, and what do
Mm-hmm.
we want to, what is learning, basically? What is meaningful learning? Um, and how do we see someone, right? So I've been, yeah, I've been, as an educator myself, been
Mm-hmm.
playing with what this could mean. And again, going back to this idea of what if theater could be a way to research something like that or something else, you know, like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's interesting your reflections because we're similar before when I start PhD, and if you do a PhD, I hope that you could please you will learn first your position and how to say it, what you can bring to society, because you have been in many things in society, but now you will add another level, you know, and you will learn how to write, and not just you will understand other colleagues from around the world, they could, you know, be aware. Then the first thing that you will learn is about yourself and your journey. And the second thing is, of course, that I discovered through this journey, because I was doing, you know, for me it was easy because I was, you know, reflecting my own methodology, and then, you know, and then doing a research about that. And the other ones, many people use, for example, I have a good friend, a great friend, that he's using theater of the oppressed as a way to create working with teenagers and masculinities about tenderness. And he is researching not a methodology, artistic methodology like me, more how theater, you know, and how theater of the oppressed can be an amazing tool to work with teenagers and hold tenderness. And for me it was like a surprise because, you know, always with my own, you know, research, and through this project start discovering the theaters can go beyond many limits, and like like any question that we have, theater can help to go through this reflection. And you did as a practitioner many times, I'm sure, as you, I remember the conversation that we had 2 months ago that you were saying as well, you know, with this um, environmental change that is happening. And this is the power that is not just doing it. For example, this friend is not just doing it again, it's about then he can show, prove, and share with other colleagues his research and his way. And it's the way that I see, yes, creating this amazing, you know, collaborative, you know, that every one of us are in different parts of the world, but through academic, we can share many experience. If you do a PhD, maybe you will go to a GRE, that is the next Applied Theater conference, and it's amazing place to really discover, you know, what's going on. I hope that at some way, I answer your question or help you to answer this question. AI, what to do, what to say. You know, it's true that I didn't start my PhD with AI. Then for me was, you know, in the last year that it came like a bomb. Then it helped me a lot with my English. and it helped me in a democratical way, and I use it all the time with my English, and it was like a really, like a tool of activism in this English world, that when you English is your second language, you always feel, a little bit above. Then sorry, a little bit under. Then it really helped me a lot, and I didn't have any problem at all because I say it, and and yes, and it's true that I am not a teacher, and I'm, like, it can be a trigger, like right now, for academic world, where is, and but there's also, many technology to check if what you're writing, what the level of help from AI. Then yes,
Yeah.
I love AI as a democratical tool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel, the democratic as a equalizer. I also feel it, not just as an English second language, which I am, but as a person that I consider myself as a creative, and I have a
Mhm,
hard time with just building sustainable structure. Now I can
mhm.
build temporary structures, but and something like AI helps structure ideas in a way that I can I appreciate. And well, my perspective right now for that is, again, what is it that AI right now is showing us that it needs to be reimagined in education, and
Yeah,
how it needs to adapt to survive somehow. And then at the same time, like, how can we make it to be a tool, not we are the tool, because
yeah,
AI has been around for a long time. And before we even talked about ChatGPT, the AI was all around, is all around on Facebook, Google, and it's used to
yeah,
basically categorize and understand our behavior, but we had no access to it. So that I feel was even more a problematic use for AI, and it still is going on. But I feel like it's better that we see what's behind the curtain now. So we start to
mhm,
get to see that, and also how do we, yeah, because I think what you don't, like, knowledge is power, and what you don't know knows you, could then it can control you. So I think it's important that
mm,
we get to learn what it is, and how do we create it as a democratic, because it could be used, and it is being used for all sorts of other things as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I like the thing. I think I've been in applied theater for um since university time, when I met Boal's work,
Mhm,
and I haven't been in the research sphere
mhm,
of it so much. So this is exciting to discover that, and that there is a wider world. I have been in other aspects of research, and yeah, and I'm also, yeah, like you said, like I'm creating my own methodology, theater that reconnects, which kind of brings theater of the oppressed and social presence in theater, and deep ecology of Joanna Macy, and kind of looking at the ecological perspective, and how can we become more ecocentric, so not so anthropocentric, not so focused on human. And a lot of it is coming from my own exploration, but also from learning from others, like Hector, for example. I consider him like a mentor and a teacher, and just learning from him. It's so much of that is coming into this, let's call it methodology, although I'm not sure if it's a methodology or is it an approach, is it an art form, how
yeah,
much is it
or in a language.
methodological, what is the methodology in the methodology?
I had the
Um,
same issue all the time. I'm still having the same issue. Like, yeah, yeah. I say a
and
language, but right now I say a language, but sometimes I say methodology. I don't know yet. Yeah.
yeah, and so a language methodology. Also, I wanted to go back to language and aesthetics, if it's okay.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, sure.
because one of the research projects that I've been part of, it was about Oh, the light went out. Just a second. I'll go back to the backstage of theater. Here we go. We had a light strike. um, so one of the research project I've been connected with was a paper around pattern language and in social fields and using theater in that. So there was also a pattern language, a language of patterns to understand social fields, and looking theater to make that visible, the invisible aspects of transformation. So I'm very curious, like, you speak about theater of yes as a language. So language is made of what? The words, sentences, alphabet. What is the vocabulary of theater of yes?
Um, Interesting, because it's true that the motor of the theater of yes is not the language, it's the intentions.
Mm,
That is interesting question. I say language because it's theater of yes is it's not a combination of of different approaches. It's not the combination. Oh, I have a combination. I don't know, from gestal and theater of press, and then and then I create my own way. That doesn't come from that. Then all the exercise, there was this inspiration from, especially from physical theater, but the process when I'm teaching comes from from the scratch. Then all exercise, and I create. Then I say language because of this reason, because it's a it's a new way. And this time when I say new, never is new, because we have practitioners and practitioners behind us, and many people that it's been my inspiration, many practitioners, many artists. But uh, because my answering the question of how we can create a theater that has this aesthetic, I had to remove the theater of the press as me as practicing, because the theater of the press were more about finding the conflict, and me is more finding the possibilities. And then, and in physical theater, what finds is the excellence of the body, and I'm working with people with disabilities and with many traumas and many low esteem. Then I had to create from zero because of their reason. And the language is, as I said, is intention. I create from the intention, from us answering the questions. Someone says, I never start from what happened to your life. I always say, okay, tell me what was the best thing that happened today, this morning. This is the question that for me is interesting, and I start from that. Oh, the best thing that happened today is that my mom invited me for a coffee. Yes, and then when okay, then the chorus came and say, okay, every one of us say or express or create when was the last time that someone invited you for a coffee, and why was the reason. And my friend invited me for a coffee because he wanted to celebrate the wedding, and then we create the wedding. A friend of mine invited me for a coffee because overcome the cancer, and we create that moment. Then through questions we can start using. Then we don't use a lot of words, because my obsession was like, okay, who using words as creating theater, like the ones that don't mind, you know has the institutional, the power ones. Then the power ones can remember words, the power ones can use memory, as a way to create something and continue. And then if we want to create aesthetic that really focus on the stories that nobody really cares, but they are really important, we have to create a completely different way of aesthetic that doesn't feel supported from words, because people that I work struggle to memorize anything, you know like, then how we can create something beautiful with people with forgetting things. Yeah, and I'm feeling comfortable and working together. Then if you see one day a creation from theater of yes, you will see that subtlety is really important, and the movements maybe they do like this, and delicacy is really important, and care is really important. The chorus together working is really important. Imperfections are really important, and maybe this is the language that for me helped me to create. And then the when I say the intentions is the emotions they went through. I hope that it's really difficult always explaining without doing it, yes, from a theory point of view. And then,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think I'm getting a sense, I think it helps me that I have some reference to theater, so I can probably I can envision it, it sounds like sort of and I wonder again, this is something I learned from Hector, who again is not someone that is a big fan of academy, uh, but or writing or theory, but I really appreciate for learning about ritual and theater as ritual, and seeing, what I hear from what I'm hearing you. I'm hearing this kind of the way the individual is being seen on
mhm,
stage by the audience, but also by the chorus, like in this creation of moments, of this rituals, this
mhm,
kind of rituals of healing. That there is something, and I still feel like, there is. There's magic, and a lot of this magic then doesn't go on stage because maybe it doesn't have the right language to be on stage. It stays in the workshop space and in the in the processes that we do.
mhm.
Yeah, I'm fascinating to see Theater of Yes, and um, yeah, maybe we can also go and you can just share what's going on. So you finish your PhD, so congratulations. And now
Thank
what's is calling you now? What are you?
you. Um, I create the Theatre of Yes company based in Barcelona because I moved from England to Barcelona. And now I want to teach, I want to spread the Theatre of Yes around the world. Like this is my dream, that then I want to teach online Theatre of Yes. I want to teach because, and then I want to teach physically, and create. Like yes, I need. It's true that now I am in. I'm going to publish about vulnerability with a vulnerability group. An article. Then I don't want to leave academia. I want to continue publishing because through the PhD I discovered that there is many practitioners like us that we can combine practicing and then reflecting through practitioner and creating an article. Yes, we don't have to be, the typical one that just, reading and writing. And then yes, but yes, I can't wait to start creating again. Oh my God, I'm saying it, I feel here, like please, soon as possible. Yes, this is my, yes, the wall is so beautiful. I'm ready.
Mm. Yeah, well, actually, tell me more about the online. And I saw that you have an offering coming in February, right? February, March. You're doing a
Yes,
cycle, and yeah,
yes,
like did you're teaching online with Theater of Yes, or
yes.
what?
Everything started like every one of us when COVID came. And I thought, okay, I had the whole 2020 for me was amazing year. Like I was going to Palestine, like different trips, really, really powerful. And then everything stopped. Then I was at home thinking, okay, what I can do? I could choose wait. And I thought, oh, I could do theater online. And everyone remained thinking, what? I said, yes, I could teach theater of yes online. And oh my God, it works so well, because it's through the theater of, and then because the theater of yes, because we use chorus, imagine, everyone in her, this, I don't know how to say the window, you know, work really clean, really well. And I start doing it, and and for I don't know I don't know how many times, and people then were applying, like not online, like in their realities. But then I realized that I had students from Slovakia, students. It was in Spanish, but many students from Latin America students. Then I could achieve places that you know I couldn't go. Then I discovered that it worked really well, like in an impressive way. And then life, with the PhD and everything stopped. But right now, I want to do again, and then I can do in English. It's true that it's not something that I want to do like as a main thing, but a way to spread the word. I think that is an amazing, amazing, amazing way. What is your experience doing things online, theater online, and all your workshops online?
Yeah, it was also something I was actually thinking about newspaper theater online before the pandemic. So I had this moment, oh, newspaper theater will be interesting to explore it online. And I was started to record some videos for a course um and then COVID came, and then all everything kind of shifted, and I got an opportunity to teach in a university, in a German university, online, because the supervisor, the kind of coordinator, she's also a theater practitioner, and she was, oh, we're moving to online, so you can come and teach in our university, which was great. So now so since 2020, I'm still teaching online newspaper
Mm-hmm.
theater for social work students. And this is fully online in the winter semester, and now in the summer it's a bit mixed. So I'm doing some online and some in person. And I also started teaching outside of the university and exploring. Sometimes it's a laboratory, more exploration, and sometimes it's more of a course. But what I really find fascinating still, and since the beginning, is how much sense of awareness of others you can have from people that are so far from you physically and you never met, and how much you can create a sense of closeness and
Yeah,
shared space. This is fascinating, and how there could be a capacity of attunement that
yeah.
is really incredible in a way.
Mm.
At the same time, you don't have a lot of things that you don't have in this virtual space. Like, for example, like the spatial relationship is a real problem. So this immersive
Mm.
view is a little bit of a trick, but it's also not an imperfect system, because our videos are mirrored. I need to kind of, when I look to you, it seems like I'm looking
Mm.
away, and this is
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's a but and when we are on Zoom, we are on our windows, right? So it has its own aesthetics, right?
Mm.
And you can use it to your advantage. And I sometimes say, that in a way, because we also have always a video camera when it's online, then it's in some levels it's closer to cinema than to
Mm-hmm.
theater, uh,
Yes.
but it's live, right? So
Yeah,
so that the liveness is what connects it with the theater, let's say.
yeah.
But then
We create a small performance at the end,
yes.
inviting friends and family. Like we really create a performance at the end of the training. Imagine, so crazy. And yes, it's true that many things cannot be aware, but then you're aware that they are not possible, but then the students aware that when they do with in real world, then they have to apply it. What how do you see your 2026?
Well, it's a good. So my main thing. So I really started in 2025. I started with two things. One, to go towards this PhD. I went very close. I came second in two different universities, and I'll continue applying. In the meantime, my partner got a PhD position, and I didn't. So she. But I'm very glad for her. And I must say I did get some grants approved this year, which I'm celebrating, and
Oh,
one
wow.
one that I closed and went very well, and now that I know that there is one that is starting, next year. So I have work, and I'm starting. The other thing that I've started to focus on is like theater that reconnects and really making it into something that can be shared with the world and being more constant with it. So I started teaching it online. I've done 3 introduction courses in
Mm-hmm.
this beginning of this year or middle. Um, and I plan to continue doing that maybe from spring. And I also do a practice space every month of theater that reconnect and kind of building a community around the theater that reconnects um, and pushing myself towards writing about
Mm-hmm.
it in different ways for
Good.
my Substack newsletter right now because academic I'll do academic publishing when I'm on a paid PhD position because it's it's too hard on it requires a lot of energy, a lot of juice to
Yeah.
get the academic publishing. But yeah, I did publish some things and I'm curious, but I also like just sharing on my newsletter, on my Substack, and pushing myself in terms of how to write about all of this. And
Mm.
so this is things that are kind of shaping. I'm also starting the year with a journey to Senegal that I've been in Senegal 3 times and now it's the fourth time. And it will be really beautiful, like a learning journey um, to Senegal in January, which I'm excited about. And
Oh,
I
wow.
always gain so much when I go to Senegal. It's such a beautiful place, beautiful people, beautiful energy. And I think there is more travel in 2026 coming, more travel, more building, more
Yeah.
co-creation. Um, and there's a lot of things that I don't know.
Yeah. It's nice
Um,
to feel like this. We need to have a space for things that we don't know yet. It's beautiful because I'm the first one that, feels with things. Okay, I'm
yeah.
busy until, October. And then, it's necessary to trust. Yeah. Wow. In Senegal, there is this theater company in Barcelona that they go every year.
Yes, yes.
La
I think
Chicha.
yes, I know. They go to Senegal and they are in contact with the same people that I worked with in Kadouyarak and Joel.
Mm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so so yeah, we're I don't
Small is
know
so
so much.
small.
Yeah, I only met the people of La Shisha once, and
Hmm.
I never went to Barcelona. Well, I was in Barcelona, but we didn't really work together. But we met in Senegal when I was visiting, and they were visiting. So yes, and the group in Kadouyarak are amazing. That they've been around for 30 years now, I think, and doing festival every year. And everybody in Theater of the Opera talks about Jana Sanskriti, and of course they're amazing. But I think
Mm.
in terms of a continuous reality that is going on and doing amazing work, also Senegal, Kadouyarak is
Yeah.
also a great example. And there's a lot of internationals also from France that are coming regularly and exchanging.
Mm.
And I think that's really important um,
Mm.
for this. Yeah, and I think what's fascinating for me, in terms of going forward and also this conversation, this living library, which I do another one Monday, this coming Monday with Amit and
Oh,
Angelo. Angelo Miramonti. Um,
no.
No, he's also a friend, a practitioner, and they wrote a paper together, and they about this innovation that Amit created about legislative rainbow, so taking legislative theater and rainbow of desire, so in a small scale. So instead of kind of legislation on parliament level, more on a community level, or
Oh, wow.
so we're going to have a conversation about this format that they're developing, and I'm planning to do a few other living libraries episodes, and that's part of kind of keeping Imagine Action alive and creating as a knowledge hub for
Hmm.
different practitioners. I think Imagine Action, which starts from the work of Hector, and now I feel like I'm kind of a custodian or a caretaker for the
Oh,
website and the network and growing with that. I think it always was this, I think it's an unorthodox place for this work, because there are
mm,
different networks and movements and beautiful work done, but I think Imagine Action has been continuously kind of breaking barriers and working across those kind of divides of what is theater of the press,
mm,
what is that, but kind of mixing and creating a space where we also bring space for healing and possibility and connection, human connection. And so I'm excited to just do my custodian work and build a network through these conversations because I think it's very valuable for people, So a lot
mm,
of these stories, they then go out and, and it's also about coming together somehow and connecting, even virtually.
yeah,
And because we kind of get locked to this very individualistic
yes.
way, which is comes from the system, but it blocks our possibility to look sideways
Mm.
and see who are we with.
Yeah, look right now. This is an example what Amit and Angelo did together that I didn't know. When you said, "Wow," you know, but we need these spaces, like you are saying, a way to discover that the other, like other ways to do things. Wow, so necessary, so necessary, so necessary because it's through books or through articles that sometimes not many people read if you're not in academical world, or through these possibilities like you are creating.
Mm. Yeah,
Then
and
yeah,
and the other thing that we don't have a date for it, but I would love to do some gathering. We did a gathering this year, and some kind of gathering, physical gathering for people, because I think that's also very important that people actually come together and exchange. Like we did in the Theater
yes.
for Transition, which for many people it was they
Tulip,
made
the Indian
a
woman. Do you remember Tulip? She
yes,
was in
yes,
my place. I don't know if I told you. She was in my
yeah.
at my place last year for a week.
Wow.
Yeah, then
That,
and then a me, then it's nice. Like yes, yes. We spent just a week, and after almost 10 years, many people still in my life at some way, like then was amazing experience. Yes.
yeah. And people created a whole, body of work. And so I'm hoping to do some gathering, let's see, this year, next year, I don't know, Theater for Transition. I think we sort of surpassed some of the language from there, and also that we are in a different place in the world right now,
Mm,
for better or worse.
yeah.
It's a different world, really.
Mm,
But I think there is a need even more than to come together and to make
mm,
sense of or
yes.
sense make from this. Um, yeah, and yeah, create more connection for between us and with everything. So. Yeah, thanks so much for kind of opening our living library season. um,
No, thank you for inviting me. I can't wait to see, to watch, to listen the other ways. Like in privately, you will tell me how. But yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, amazing time together.
yes, and I will put on the notes of this episode like how to the website Theater LC, Teatro del C, and all other things, and also the offering in February. Maybe people want to kind of experience that and learn that and follow up. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing learning experience and then a creation.
Yeah, creation for sure. And the other one, we will see.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
that's the thing, what is learning? Learning, I feel the true learning is creativity,
Mm,
because anyone can just take something that they heard and play it back.
mhm,
And that's the thing that AI is better than us, just taking a bunch of stuff and reformulating it. But to
mhm.
create, that means that that's, I feel like, more, higher level of learning.
Yes. An experience time, in it, and many making mistakes, learning, reflecting, exploring, trusting. Yeah, many different, characteristics that you need.
Mm, yeah.
Having a community, many things that you say.
Yes. Yeah, and doing it together. So
Yes,
it's not,
doing together.
so it's collaborative, so it's collective, so it's
Yes.
not separated. Because in
No.
the end, um, if you created some knowledge but you didn't tell anyone,
Yeah.
you know, or maybe you create something but it's already been created because uh
Yes.
and yeah, it's yeah, the connection between us is really important for and collaboration.
Yes.
Also not about, oh, this is mine, this is yours. No, it's creating a field of possibility together that I feel should be or can be the future of learning and of education. Education that is not about who's the best, but is what is the best thing we can do together, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes. And you can feel like as inspiration, or you can feel as an enemy. Choose inspiration. It's fun and interesting, and you meet many amazing people, and you exchange and you reflect. Then welcome inspiration in our life.
Mm. Social art.
Yeah.
Social
And regeneration is our collective responsibility.
Regeneration.
Regeneration.
Universal right.
Regeneration.
Right. Right.
Right. Let's
Imagination.